Yes, hello everybody. I managed to pick up this VHS and I recognise that it is RoadShow home videos and I recognise the copyright. I'm just going to show you the video there. It is called Silent Fear. It is a crime without witnesses where innocent is the first victim. In the heartbreaking tradition of the missing years, the silent fear, we should have known. So that is the video, as you can see there, and it's called The Silent Fear. And the fact is, the staggering 6,000 children are sexually abused in Australia each year. The figures are closer to 40,000 in the United States. Frequently, the abuser is a family friend or relative. This is a crisis faced by the Dolson family in the devastating, confronting dramatisation starring Pam Dolber and John Shee. Safe in their comfortable suburban life, the Dolsons are shattered to learn that their child is a victim of molestation and emotional blackmail. In their own neighbourhood kindergarten, the Dolsons' initial belief, the outrage that only happens to the other family, soon gives way to a powerful sense of justice. And in their quest for the truth, they will suffer through traumatic court trials where the only witnesses are 6 years of age. The only witnesses are 6 years of age. It is called The Silent Fear. It is a crime without witnesses where the innocent is the first victim. In the heart-breaking tradition of the missing years, it is a crime without witnesses where the innocent is the first victim. Here we go, and we're going to play.
I know what you hear out there, but drugs aren't cool. Cigarettes aren't cool. And alcohol isn't cool. One hit of crack and you can be hooked for life. Nicotine will give you lung cancer. Alcohol will wrap that car you work so hard to earn around a telephone pole. Now, thanks. Let's hit some of the myths that you're hearing out in the parking lot.
Officer?
Yeah?
I never hit on any myths before. Am I gonna get hooked?
No. Myths are saves too. It's reality you gotta watch out for.
Dear God, for what we are about to receive, make us truly thankful. Keep Mom and Dad and Teddy and Rex safe. And lead the Seahawks safely out of the 2nd Division. Amen.
The blue item on the top of your head. Thank you. Stopped by the car place today?
Yeah. Sunset Body Shop, the guys were all wearing Rolexes.
Great.
I'll make a few more phone calls.
Thank you.
You know, I stopped by the teacher's lounge today.
And unwinding after another grueling day behind the slide projector?
Hey, watch yourself, young man.
Brandon Cassidy said you were fighting over cigarettes.
Yeah, I led with my jaw again. Forget it. May I be excused?
Kendra, I'm the chairperson for the Tiny Tots fundraiser this year.
I know, we got the invitation.
It should be a fun evening.
Helen, we'd love to do something for the school, but I just started temping again. And Roger isn't much of a dancer.
Maybe I can hitch up for the garage sale this spring.
Great, good deal.
Good. You know who turned me down flat?
Who?
Miriam Schlossberg.
Josh's mom?
Sunday night. She gets Alex up out of bed at 2 a.m. He meets them at the ER. You know what it was?
What?
Gonorrhea. It was Josh.
Hi, Roger. Morning, Roger.
I think I'm in love. Who's she? Miriam Schlossberg.
About Tiny Todd?
She wanted to file a complaint. To talk her out of it.
Kind of complaint.
Would you believe Sodom? She had nothing but the kid's word on it.
Well, don't you think it ought to be investigated? I mean, it's our kid's school.
The chief has known the Richardsons for 25 years. Believe me, they're solid. Want another real story? Schlossberg just broke up with her boyfriend. He runs some sort of art gallery in Portland. Mrs. Richardson thinks he raped Josh.
Did you talk to this guy?
I called a buddy of mine advice. They're checking him out.
What happens at Tiny Town while they're checking?
Innocent until proven guilty.
Come on. What about this new teacher?
George Olin took a voluntary blood test. No trace of any form of ED.
How we doing? About 5 minutes. Perfect.
Dr. Wells redid all the tests. There was no screw-up.
Well, can you get gonorrhea any other way?
Not that I know of. The only place Josh goes is Tiny Tot.
It's a preschool, for crying out loud. There's got to be a reasonable explanation.
Okay, you two, dinner's almost ready. Linda, you want to go wash your hands? There you go. Bear, is there anything you want to tell me about?
No,
Like, about school?
no. What are we having for dinner?
Hamburgers.
Pickles?
Baby Dale's the kind you like.
Yummy.
I heard Josh is sick. Has he been at school?
No.
When did the teachers make you uncomfortable?
No, they're nice.
How about Mr. George?
He plays baseball with us.
Does anyone at school touch you in a bad way?
Like we talked about?
Like that?
Nope.
You guys want to eat these on the swings?
Yeah, all right.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Talk to Melinda?
She loves school. Everything's great.
Did you talk to Ted?
Oh, he's fine. I could tell if there was something.
Mrs. Schlossberg, officially, I'm not here.
But unofficially, you want to see if you buy it.
Well, I've been doing some research. Sexual abuse in preschools is very, very rare.
Really, then why do the police want to cover it up when it actually happens?
Nobody wants to cover anything up. Jeeva's been playing golf with the Richardsons for years now. A lot of questions.
The other detective asked
I'm
more.
not a detective. Just a parent.
Okay, then. As a parent, what about you? What do you believe?
Well, I guess I have a lot of trouble stomaching the idea that any grown-up wants to have sex with a child.
What they're saying about me isn't true, okay? I don't have any boyfriends. I wish that I did.
Could have been George Olin. He doesn't have the disease.
It happened during nap time. They gave Josh something funny tasting. They put it in his fruit juice. He woke up in the back of a van. Now, he was groggy, but he still remembers them taking him.
Who?
The Richardsons, the chief's golfing buddies, drove my son to a motel room. There was a man there that Josh didn't know. He was very fat. I took pictures of Josh.
Is that all?
That man raped him.
So you're not saying that the Richardsons had sex with Josh?
The Richardsons watched.
All right, look, our investigation didn't locate a man. You know, Josh is the only kid who's told a story like this.
Could your son make up something like this?
KOSH Radio of Sumnerton, Oregon. Give us 10 minutes and we'll give you the news. Coming up shortly, we have sports. First, how about that weather report? Take a look outside right now.
Does this hurt? It hurts, huh? Well, you just relax now. I'm gonna make it all better, okay? There you go. Now, how's that?
Hi, can I help you?
Oh, yes. I was just wondering if I could visit my son's class.
Oh, sure. What's his name?
Teddy Dollison. I think he's in Mavis's class.
Yeah, they're still out in the yard.
Oh, great. We haven't met yet. I'm Kendra Dollison.
George Olin. I'll show you.
Great. Hi, Arthur.
I think he's over there.
Thank you. Hi, Bear.
Hi, Mom.
Is it okay if I come to visit?
Want to see me hang from the bar?
Sure.
Kendra, what a nice surprise.
Hi, Mavis. I just thought I'd stop by and see how Teddy's doing, if that's okay with you.
Of course it is. There you go, Teddy. Getting lots of good feedback at home?
Oh, well, Teddy seems a little bored with school.
I hear that all the time. Why aren't they reading? What about their timetables? You just don't push a timetable.
No, I'm not complaining.
See, you have to realize the important thing right now is socialization. And you don't have anything to worry about as far as Teddy is concerned. He's making lots of friends.
That's good. Everybody seems to be having a good time. I was a little surprised to find the front door locked.
You never know who's going to walk in off the street. Come on, let me show you some of Teddy's artwork.
Great. So, any news on the
often, don't you? So how was school?
Boring.
Boring. Honey, did anybody unusual ever pick Josh up after school?
No?
Well, like maybe somebody Josh's mom was saying.
Mom, he said no.
I've eaten all these carrots.
Well, you want to hit home runs?
Wait, but guess who buy me catcher's mitt?
Catcher's mitts, you gotta eat parsnips.
Teddy, are there any new men teachers at school?
Mom, what is it with you? You don't believe anything Teddy says?
Of course I do. I'm just interested in school.
Parents, gotta watch me, Ted. Jeff Whitbeck's mom took him into the drugstore to discuss condoms.
She didn't.
No, she did. Then she cut off his allowance when he knew what aisle they were in.
Turn it off, Sandy.
What have you got against the National Geographic Society?
Since when did Bob Hope start doing National Geographic specials?
Brooke Shields is an educated woman.
She's cuter than you are, honey. From you, Krista's going to expect homework. Okay, mister, time for bed. Robbie, what happened to you? Oh. Are you sure there isn't anything you want to tell Mommy?
A kid at school said a catcher's mitt only costs $30.
He did. Ain't it, little bear?
What about a first baseman's mitt?
You would tell Mommy if...
I like school. I like boring stuff.
Nice, sweetie.
Good night, Mom.
Hey, I'm gonna go to the cash machine so you guys get to surprise him. Now remember, no fast food. He gets to pick the place he likes.
Alright.
Okay. See ya.
Remember the other parents, mommies and daddies? Can you tell us more about the blood? Where did it come from?
Sweetheart, what do you mean you were covered in blood? It's close. It's gonna be all right. Okay. Hey.
Happy birthday.
Well, thanks, guy. What are you guys doing here? Huh?
Why is Melinda here?
Dad, what's going on? Why are Teddy's teachers here?
Is Melinda going to jail?
No, we don't put kids in jail. Dad, what'd she say? Why don't you guys go wait in the interrogation room, okay? Sandy, keep the door shut. Hi, Teddy.
Is Melinda going to have to wear handcuffs?
Dad told you they don't arrest little kids.
Then why is she still here?
Paula's taking her home now.
happened at school? Did you see it? Honey, look at me. Teddy, look at me. Did you see anyone do anything bad to Melinda?
The teachers are nice, Mom.
Did you see anyone hurt any of the kids? Any of the kids at all?
No.
Good night, little bear.
Right.
What happens if Melinda wakes up tomorrow and changes her story? What happens
Melinda
then?
isn't making up a story.
Tiny Tot has been open for years. Why would the Richardsons suddenly start something like this?
Okay, so what's it gonna take to get you to believe the kids?
I'm the one who believes. Teddy says that Josh and Melinda are making up a story. I believe
You're
myself.
not being rational.
Rational?
There's...
Don't talk to me about rational. People don't do things like this to children.
Okay,
It
well,
is
so
rational.
it's a coincidence that that Josh and Melinda just make up stories that the exact same 4 people molested
And
them.
Teddy didn't know.
Melinda said it's been happening for a long time in a small house. How could he not have known?
Then why won't he tell me about it?
I don't know. You think a 4-year-old could make something like that up? You put the baby powder.
Trust, Teddy. And Beth will show you the toy drawer.
Come on, Teddy.
His blood tests are all normal.
So he's all right.
There are laceration scars on his rectum.
The scars could come from a lot of things.
Kendra, Teddy's been raped.
Well, if you've been through what Teddy's been through, would you want to tell people about it? Dr. Billington, we're his parents. It's been 6 weeks. He's making real progress in his therapy. You mean he's talking to you? There are nonverbal ways for a child to tell a therapist what's wrong. I have to warn you, the healing process can take a long time, years even. It can put the family under stress. And no one's ever done a longitudinal study.
Now, come on, Martha. What's he told you?
I want you to see one of Teddy's drawings.
What does it mean?
We're not sure. They aren't here anymore, Bear.
They're gonna be in jail for a long time.
Aunt Mavis? Uncle Arthur? Mr. George? Miss Susan?
There's nothing to be afraid of. Nobody is going to hurt you. Honey, nobody is going to know you told. Remember what Daddy said? They're all in jail.
They'll find out.
Nobody will know but us. It's our secret. Mavis gave it to him. She brought it to the house just as he started school. There's nothing to be afraid of. There are no more secrets.
They said you'd die if I ever told.
You're never going to have to worry about anything like that again, I promise.
Which one of them hurt you?
They all did. Miss Susan took pictures.
While they did what?
Mr. George liked to play a game.
Tell us about the game.
Severe, they're going to jail. They're never gonna hurt you, and they're never gonna hurt us.
Look at the cars.
Because tonight we find out how many victims there really are. Ready?
Yep.
Go.
Because we didn't want you to read about these indictments for the first time in the papers. So here it is. Tomorrow, the district attorney will announce indictments against two defendants, Mavis and Arthur Richardson, on 37 separate counts of child molestation and sexual abuse.
What about the other two?
We've elected not to indict either Miss Larimer or George Olin.
Miss Larimer raped my daughter.
What do you have to do around here to get indicted?
Your daughter is only 2. A 2-year-old is not a good witness. You have to realize that we want to make cases we can win. There just wasn't enough evidence against the other 2 teachers.
Are you telling us you let them walk?
They've left the community, yes.
Oh.
In the absence of an indictment, they're entirely within their
That's
rights.
crap, Bernstein. I ran NCICs on all 4 of these freaks. Susan Larimer has a record. She was tried in Kentucky for molesting a retarded kid.
And she was acquitted. It isn't a crime to be accused of a felony.
Yeah, but you've got to admit, somebody screwed up. How did she get a job at Tiny Time?
Didn't anybody from the licensing board check this woman?
Look, you entrusted your children to these people. The defense is going to harp on that. Nobody, including you, knows what a child molester looks like. So don't go after all the people who should have known. You should have known. Listen. We need your children as witnesses. The defense is going to try to destroy their credibility on the stand. If you don't support your children, if you don't help them testify, you have no prayer of getting a conviction. None. And I promise you, every person in this room is going to want to give up before this trial is over.
Mr. Bernstein, our son is ready to testify against George and Susan.
Which one is your son?
Teddy Dallas.
Right, he's almost 5. He's very bright, make a good witness.
Look, I don't know how much you know about courtroom strategy.
I know that you're missing evidence. Teddy talked about photographs.
No, I'm not talking about evidence. I'm talking about pedophilia. And the average person doesn't want to believe that adults have sex with children. Now, jurors are average people, which means that a prosecutor has got to stay below their threshold of credibility.
Mr. Bernstein, Susan and George raped my son.
Now, what are you saying? Are you saying that Teddy doesn't have the right to accuse them?
No, I'm saying that Teddy, unfortunately, is one of only 4 kids who have made specific allegations against George and Susan.
Wait, you have 4 witnesses? And that's not enough?
3 of them are 2-year-olds who won't do me any good on the stand. That leaves me with 1. And the simple truth is, most of the witnesses we have today will drop out before this trial is over.
Teddy will not drop out.
Look, I know you want to get these people. I feel the same way. But the bottom line is convictions. I've got to make a case I can win.
All right, so what if we find Susan and George, right? What if there are photographs or videotapes?
These people are not dumb. If there ever were photos, there aren't now.
All right, what if there were?
And we'd re-examine the situation pretty fast, okay?
Ken.
What?
Nothing. Can you see it?
See what?
Whatever's going on.
It happened at nap time. They kept the doors locked. There were lookouts. There was nothing to see.
Can you see it in his eyes?
You saw him at breakfast. You saw him every night at dinner. Couldn't you see anything?
Well, I'm not his mother. Mothers are supposed to know when things are going on.
So this is all my fault.
It's my fault.
No, it's their fault. They did it.
You heard Bernstein. We should have known. God, I keep going through this over and over in my mind. You know, what did I miss? I mean, how could Teddy keep something like this inside him? You know? I mean, how did it happen that one day, and I'm off doing something for myself, you know, I don't know, I'm eating a Danish. And these people are raping our baby. You know, I never consciously wanted to hurt anybody before. I want to find these people. I want to beat their faces into a pulp. And then I'm going to tell Teddy that I did it. Can't let them get away.
Susan and George, the case is too weak.
Not if we find some hard evidence. Now, why'd they take pictures? Huh? There's got to be some kind of pornography connection, right? So we go down to Portland. We'll start there.
Hold on. Look, I'm the detective. Trust me, it's just not worth wasting time on.
Hey, I got nothing but time.
You're very good at what you do, Roger.
But I'm not a detective, right?
Well, that's not the real problem.
It's not real to you because Susan and George didn't hurt your kid.
No. The real problem is they're gone. You and Kenred don't believe that nonsense.
No, we think that Josh Lustberg got gonorrhea from the tooth fairy.
Josh was raped by his mother's boyfriend.
Yeah, see, that's your story. Teddy said he saw it happen at school. Said he saw Susan taking pictures of George raping Josh.
That's ludicrous. Susan's a master teacher. She supervised George while he was doing his practice teaching. I've known them both for years.
What's it like, Arthur? Watching.
Did Teddy tell you all this before or after his treatment with Dr. Billington?
What's Dr. Billington got to do with anything?
She debriefed all 37 victims, didn't she?
Doesn't prove anything.
She cooked it all up, Roger. Every sordid lie.
Who's the fat man?
I told you, no conversations.
Excuse me, sir.
Stay away! Stay away!
Honey, Teddy, wake up, sweetie. Wake up, calm down. It's all right. It's all right. Calm down. It's all right. It's good.
It's all right, Teddy. Just a bad dream. You're all right.
Sweetie, calm down.
You got any idea who we called if we meet some that are even younger?
I take it from a guy who's worked a lot of vice stores. This is a waste of time.
Listen, you told me about the pedophile rings. We gotta get inside them.
The right one. How do we know the Richardsons didn't sell their stuff in San Francisco or LA?
Copy down some phone numbers anyway.
Can I help you guys?
Yeah, we're staying in a hotel around the corner. Room service doesn't have what we're looking for.
Which is?
Young boys. 4 or 5.
Everything in my store is legal.
Come on, man. We'll pay the freight. Just tell us who to call.
You sleazy creep. Oh, what are you gonna do next? Show me your damn snapshots? I don't want your money. Sex with kids makes me puke.
What snapshots?
What snapshots? Sick weirdos. Get out of my face.
Little Darcy took off the baby's clothes.
And you're sure you saw this with your own eyes? Because it's very important you don't tell me things you heard, just what really happened to you.
It was my day to be the baby.
Okay. Show me what Uncle Arthur did to the baby. I called our insurance company. Group therapy, they pay less than half. I'm gonna have to go back to work full time. You know anybody who's looking for a secretary? Or a receptionist? Paula? Are you alright? Listen.
I looked at her last night while she was sleeping.
Hey, Bears.
I watched her all night. Since the minute I found out, she hasn't been out of my sight.
Yes, George and I were in the same class. I was supposed to call him about the alumni magazine. No, that's the address that I have. Now, do you have anything more recent? Well, I thought I might try the preschool where he did his practice teaching. Now, is that in your records? I see. Okay. Thank you.
I feel like I live in a phone company commercial.
I have to call every preschool in Connecticut.
Why? What makes you think he went back east?
Well, as Arthur said, George and Susan met, practiced teaching while he was in college. He went to the Connecticut Institute for Early Childhood Development.
Well, before you do that, then, will you call these people for me and tell them I'm on my way?
Sure, who's this?
That's a meat packing plant. $9 an hour. They said if they like me, they might make it permanent.
Hey, it's not gonna be permanent. I love you. Bye.
Shut up!
Hey, come on, guys, come on. Whoa. Hey.
What do you call you?
What's a fag?
A guy who's gonna be tough to survive.
gets on base. Spike him. What kind of school's open in the middle of the night? Go ahead.
We're getting closer.
You think I like playing den mother to my father? This kind of responsibility could warp an adolescent's basic Oedipal drives.
I reached a guy who knows George. He thinks he's teaching at a school near New Haven. Hey. Hal. He's teaching at a preschool in Bridgeport.
You didn't go to work today?
I called in sick.
I wish I'd known. Teddy could have stayed here with you.
Hey, I like to eat place.
You eat too much salami, buddy.
How you going? I got a ticket on the red eye.
Will you be back before I tell when it's on court?
Wouldn't miss that.
He's got to make sure Mr. George isn't hurting more kids, Teddy.
Daddy, don't go near him.
We don't let people hurt us in this family.
Come on, Teddy.
Well, how'd you pay for the ticket?
Plastic.
Okay, say you get lucky. Say George does keep photos of the kids. Say Bernstein decides to re-indict him. What happens then?
Let me get them all. Show Teddy they can't spit in our faces.
And how long is that going to take, Roger? Don't give it to me in years. Give it to me in nightmares. Or better yet, maybe insults.
How many kids one person can abuse in a lifetime?
What about our kid, Roger? People avoid me in the market. Can't afford to fix our car. Even Teddy's friends will start calling me names.
Okay, fine. You don't want me to go? I won't go.
Roger?
Hey.
Ernie Ronet.
Yeah, I heard it. Morning.
He's fine, you?
Is he still in town?
Yeah. He doesn't suspect a thing.
All right, good. I'll start watching the place this afternoon.
We've done better than that. We put a police woman in there undercover.
What's your manage that?
I had a talk with the owner.
Did you mention George?
No way. I just said that he had a tip about somebody abusing kids in her
You
school.
said child abuse?
She doesn't want abuse in her school.
Ernie, did you ever handle a case like this before?
Never heard of anything like this around here.
Let's get going. Mr. George is sick today. Still hasn't cleaned out his desk.
Maybe it really is.
He keeps Snapchats of me in his apartment. You got the address? All right, let's get over there.
It'll take a couple hours to get another warrant.
Hey, Sarge, take a look at this. It's his address book.
Phony names. Want it?
I want everything.
Mr.
Sterling Police. Open up, sir.
Open it. Go. Now, Melinda, how often did you play baby nursery?
Every Thursday during nap time.
And did Aunt Mavis play too?
She changed your baby's diapers.
And you were the baby? So then Aunt Mavis took your clothes off. And what did Uncle Arthur do?
He powdered the baby's bottom.
With baby powder? From a can?
On his fingers.
Then what did he do?
The bad thing.
Now, Melinda, can you tell us where Uncle Arthur put his fingers?
I don't want it to.
Okay. Can you tell us then if the game hurt the baby?
It hurt the baby's vagina.
Melinda, how does a 5-year-old know a word like vagina?
Women have them.
But how do you know, Melinda?
It's one of Dr. Billington's words. My mommy told me what it means.
Ah, one of Dr. Billington's words.
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Sustained. Melinda, does your family own a VCR? You know, a machine to play movies? Answer my question, Melinda. Do Mommy and Daddy watch movies on a VCR?
We all do.
Then isn't it possible that you got these ideas from some of the video cassettes Mommy and Daddy watched?
That's a lie! We've never watched an X-rated movie in our lives.
You're not on trial here, Mrs. Stockman.
Melinda isn't either.
Mr. Stockman.
How can you let him badger her while they're glaring at her? You're just as bad as the people you're supposed to be judging.
Mrs. Stockman, please.
Melinda, did you first hear about grown-ups abusing children from Dr. Billington or from your mother?
My mommy didn't do anything.
Then why is she trying to coach you, Melinda? What are you two trying to hide?
Ten-minute recess.
Mom, you didn't finish. What happened to Melinda today in court?
Puglietti confused her. She couldn't remember things she said on her deposition. Sandy, can you help me with that? Get the door.
She was going to be one of the best witnesses.
I know. She cried a lot. She wasn't sure of things. It was a mess.
Can I ride my bike before dinner, Mom?
Did you clean your room? Remember what we said? You don't ride your bike till you clean your room. Patty, Sandy, go around the side of the house.
I'll do it later. I'm gonna go for my keys.
Around the side of the house right now, both of you.
Thanks.
You don't have to worry, honey, because you...
Hey!
Dad, they killed Rex. They're gonna kill you.
No. What happened to Rex was an accident.
He was poisoned.
No. Now, come on, Teddy. Mama thinks that, you must have got into that stuff we use on snails in the garden.
No, Dad, it's because you went to find Mr. George.
No, I never saw him, Teddy. He was gone before I got there. Hey, he doesn't know you told.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Okay?
Come on, Ted, I'll buy you some gum.
Sandy.
I don't get it. He's convinced the Richardsons are the ones who killed Rex.
What the guys in the lab say?
Well, the autopsy showed it was rat poison.
Here we go. Judge is coming. Had to go back east.
We took off before we could get anything.
Too bad.
big guy.
Get around.
Could you turn around for us? Could you smile?
Get around.
Okay, come around. Teddy, please.
Remember what we talked about, Bear? Just get up there and tell the truth. Nobody can hurt you now.
All right, remember, Mr. Bernstein's our friend. Now you just answer his questions in a nice, loud voice. Okay?
Oh.
Don't look at it, Teddy. It's just us. That's why we're here.
The Honorable Clinton Z. Allen presiding. All rise.
You have to stand up, honey, to show respect for the judge. Teddy! Teddy!
Teddy! Teddy!
Sweetie, nobody is gonna hurt you. We would never let anybody hurt you, sweetie. What is it? What is it?
They were right.
Who was right?
Aunt Mavis and Uncle Arthur. They said if I told a man would be here to punish me.
Man, who?
A man in a black robe.
No, Bear. No, see, they knew that there'd be a man in a black robe, but he's the judge. He's your friend.
No, Dad. People who wear black are servants of Satan.
Servants of Satan. Black robes. Dead rabbits. I think maybe Teddy was right about Rex.
Dad, you know, don't you?
Why, you're scared? I sure do.
Know that they have magic powers.
Listen, Bear, they're not devils, whatever they told you they are, okay? They don't have any magic powers.
Then why are we going home?
Because they're sick. They're bad.
Are you scared of them? What they did was bad. It wasn't the kids. It was them. Right, Mom?
You still want to tell them that in court?
It wasn't the kids.
Now, Teddy, you said that baby nursery was a bad game. Did anyone tell you baby nursery was a bad game?
Dr. Billington.
Ah, Dr. Billington again. Dr. Billington told you that you were bad to play the game.
No, she said it was a bad game, but she didn't say we were bad to play it.
So you told Dr. Billington about the game, and she told you what to say here today.
Objection, Your Honor. He's twisting the facts.
Goes to state of mind, Your Honor.
Rephrase the question, Mr. Pugliani.
Teddy, can you tell the difference between what's true and what's false?
Yes.
In baby nursery, were Mr. and Mrs. Richardson really doctors?
No.
What about Dr. Billington?
Yes.
What would you say if I told you Dr. Billington isn't really a doctor?
She isn't?
She's not a medical doctor, no? Now, what about the Easter Bunny, Teddy? Is the Easter Bunny real?
Objection, Your Honor. The Easter Bunny is irrelevant.
Goes to the witness's credibility, Judge.
I'll allow it.
Bunny real?
Yes.
Did Uncle Arthur ever dress up in a rabbit costume?
Yeah. At Easter.
Was he really the Easter Bunny?
No.
Well, if Dr. Billington wasn't really a doctor, how can you be sure Uncle Arthur wasn't really the Easter Bunny? Who are you looking at, Teddy? Is someone coaching you now the way Dr. Billington coached every alleged victim in this case?
Objection, Your Honor. The boy is looking at his parents.
Sustained. Mr. Pugliani, you are treading on thin ice here.
I believe the relevance will be apparent, Your Honor. What it boils down to is this. A lot of the time, you don't know if a grown-up is telling you the truth or not.
No.
And you get confused,
Yes.
don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Now, wasn't it really other kids that you played doctor with and not your teachers?
I don't know.
Leave him alone.
Mr. Dawson, let Mr. Bernstein do the objecting.
What kind of a man are you? He's a child.
A child you put on the stand.
No, a child they put on the stand.
Why won't you let me tell what really happened?
It's late. Recess. Reconvene in my chambers in 10 minutes. Melinda. Eddie. Oops. I'd like to try something different. Sit down. Melinda, why don't you sit in my chair? And Teddy, you stand right here like Mr. Bernstein and Mr. Pugliani did. Now, what we're about to do is off the record. That means it's not part of the trial. It's just for me, because I'm confused about something. Linda, you said that Uncle Arthur and Aunt Mavis stood over you and killed a rabbit. And then Teddy, later you said the rabbit was still alive. Well, which is it? Dead or alive?
Both.
Judge, this is what I'm talking about. They have no
Steve, be quiet, okay? How can something be both dead and alive?
Satan.
Who's Satan?
The devil.
Satan makes the rabbit die and then brings him back to life?
Aunt Mavis told us.
There was always a new rabbit the next morning.
Why does Satan do this?
Because we're bad. The rabbit's good. And if we're good, and we tell,
What will happen?
Robbie will tell Satan, and Satan will punish us.
Satan? Robbie Rabbit? Let's get serious here.
Mrs. Richardson gave each of the kids a stuffed rabbit.
A toy? So?
The toy was actually a totem. An evil eye watching them.
An evil eye? Come on, Marv. Who's your next witness going to be, a bat?
You watch your tone of voice with me, okay?
This whole case is a gross
Be
fabrication.
quiet, both of you. I have what I need. I want you to come back to court on Monday and tell the jury exactly what you told me, okay?
Wait! Melinda is not going back on that stand. We're not going to stop now. What, well, you want to take on Satan's? Not people like the Manson gang? No, thank you.
He needs Melinda.
I'm sorry.
What about what they did to Melinda?
What about what you're doing to these kids by putting them on the stand?
Ellis, you want Arthur Mavis to go free?
I want to keep my daughter alive.
Now we're down to just 3 witnesses. Teddy, Jennifer, and Josh. It was clear to me from from our sidebar yesterday that the judge is as ticked with Pugliati as we are. And I can see the same thing in the jury's eyes. Now, your 3 kids are our only hope. We can't afford to lose any of them now.
So when are you going to tell the jury about the Satanism?
Satanism wasn't the way to go a year ago. It's not the way to go now.
Wait a minute. You mean you knew about this all along?
Black robes, killing bunnies, your dog. I had a pretty good idea.
And you didn't think that was relevant?
I talked to a lot of other prosecutors. Everybody says the same thing. Juries cannot deal with Satanism.
Oh, yeah, juries can't deal with it. Well, you know what? Kids don't deal with it so well either.
Miriam,
You know what? I can't believe that you decided this on your own. You know, that stinks.
you can't run a criminal prosecution by committee.
Okay, you can't run it without witnesses either.
All right, wait. What if we can get one of them to cut a deal with us?
They take oaths. They ID their relatives for the group. And that way, if somebody rats, they know there'll be reprisals.
So you admit this is real?
It's not a question of what I believe. I mean, look at the Presidio case, El Paso, West Point. The same stories keep cropping up all over the country. This many satanic ritual abuse cases. There's got to be something out there.
Right, then tell the jury that.
Look, we're doing the best we can. I just can't make any promises.
You're telling us that we're going to lose. After you put Josh on the stand so that Pugliati could rape him all over again? My son is starting to stutter. He's in a 5-a-week therapy. You know, he could be in that for several years. And all this time, you knew those...
Miriam! Josh probably won't have to testify again.
You're right, Bernstein. You're damn right, he won't. Look, I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Teddy can't do this alone.
You want some mint tea?
You agree with Mom? You're just giving up.
Bernstein hasn't got any more witnesses. It's over.
Just like that. We don't let people hurt us in this family, you said, but what the hell, right?
Look, you saw what it's doing to him.
You have to understand these people killed our dog, remember that?
Wake everybody up.
I didn't think you were such a damn wimp. You're always backing out. And you want Teddy to grow up just like you.
Hey, it's enough.
No, it's not. You can't back out. You're letting him down, you're letting everybody down. You can't let this happen again.
All right, now listen. You've been a good brother to Teddy. You got him through the trial. Done everything a brother possibly could do.
No! Don't touch me, all right? You don't understand anything. Don't you get it?
Yeah, what?
It's all my fault. Mine. I screwed it all up. And Teddy,
Sandy, it's not your fault.
Please don't touch me, all right? Just leave me alone.
All right, Sandy, you're right. I don't understand.
I can't. I just can't. I knew. And the reason I knew is because the same thing happened to me. If I told you what they did to me at Tiny Tot, Teddy would still be fine.
What do you mean what they did to you? George and Susan weren't even there.
The Richardsons were.
Oh my God.
Once I was out of there, nobody else knew and nobody was hurt. I just wanted to forget. To pretend it never happened. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't tell you.
Why?
I was so ashamed, Mom.
Honey, it wasn't your fault.
I was different from the other kids. Mavis told me that I was special. You're a special kid.
You mean she threatened you?
She made me lie on the table. Then she
She raped you, honey. That's okay, because she did that to the other kids.
Mom, you don't understand. She did it with me more than with the other kids. Because I was special.
No, you weren't, honey.
Mom, you still don't understand what made me special. It wasn't just that I'd done it with her. Mavis told me that I liked it. Mom, I hated it. I always hated it. I was afraid. That's why I let Teddy down. I had to lie nude on the altar. The altar was inside a pentagram inscribed in a circle. The other kids would hold the torches. Mavis would stand in the center of the circle holding the knife. First she would slit a rabbit's throat. And I had to whisper these chants and call her by her satanic name. And she would raise her robe. And underneath she was naked. And I had to do it with her.
He's your witness. He can stand up to Pugliati.
Sandy, you want to wait out the hall for a minute? It'll never fly.
So what do you think? That we go tell our son to go and stand and lie?
Oh, I think that you know these people are guilty.
So polygraph him.
Come on, Roger. You know the polygraph results are unreliable.
Well, cut through it, Marv. Do you believe Sandy, yes or no?
Why did he wait 10 years?
The woman bent his mind. She convinced him that he liked what she was doing to him. She laid guilt on a 4-year-old child. Now, wouldn't you have kept quiet about that?
Pugliati will scream perjury.
So what? Sandy wants to testify against this woman. Stand up and help your children tell the truth, you said. Are you the one in the end who's going to end up burying the truth?
All I'm saying, Kendra, is it going to help?
Is it going to help? No, not a hell of a lot. It may kill him to get on that stand and tell what she did to him. But it's better than keeping it bottled up inside of him for the rest of his life.
Okay, I'll put him on the stand.
Still dark.
Listen, Sandy said that in the ritual, they made you use satanic names. You know, their special names.
Let me sleep.
Here, listen. Susan's name. What was it?
Susan's name?
Yeah, Bear, think.
Aunt Mavis was Miss Virgo. Miss Susan was. I don't remember.
Bear. Right, Bear. What name did Virgo call her friend? Right, she's standing above the altar. Now, what name did she make you whisper?
Isis.
police found in George Orlock's office.
Who's ISIS?
You wanted to see me?
Roger Dollison.
I've got a staff meeting in 5 minutes.
I'll wait till it's over.
Wait, when you tell my secretary what this is about.
I've got the address of a woman who I think is sexually abusing kids in your jurisdiction.
We've got procedures in place for taking child abuse
I've
tests.
been through this in Connecticut. I want to extradite this woman. I can only do it if we catch her in the act. I know how. It's going to work. It's got to be kept quiet. It's you and me.
What, you go around the country doing this? Yeah, I know they're all cute.
This one's my son.
Sandy, these crimes happened to you 10 years ago. Are you sure you're not just telling us about things you heard?
Until last weekend, I never talked to anyone about this stuff.
Why?
I was ashamed
That you were forced to have sex with the Richardsons?
that I never told anyone what went on at that school.
But you left the Tiny Tot preschool to start kindergarten. Why didn't you tell your parents then?
The Richardsons knew my dad was a police officer. Mrs. Richardson said if the police ever came to the school, that she would have known it had been me. And I'd have to watch my parents have their hearts cut out.
Have their hearts cut out? And you believed them?
I'd seen them kill cats and rabbits that way. I knew they'd do it.
Did the Richardsons ever tell you why they killed animals?
It gave them power to kill things that were innocent and good.
Sandy, you haven't told us one single detail that your brother hadn't already mentioned. How many sessions with Dr. Billington did you have?
I've never met Dr. Billington.
Oh, come on. Sandy. Altars. Pentagrams. Murdered bunnies. Curved daggers.
Athames?
What?
They're called Athames. Call Dr. Billington back and ask her if she knows what they're called.
These are exactly the same stories Dr. Billington fed the children.
The rituals didn't change. They happened to me and my friends. They happened to other kids 10 years later.
The rituals? Rituals? Are you saying that my clients were involved in something other than what the prosecution has characterized as games and psychological manipulation?
Your clients are Satanists. They told us so. They're proud of it.
Let me get this straight. You're saying that my clients are pedophiles and pimps and pornographers and devil worshippers?
I saw them kill rabbits and pour the blood over little kids. You can call them anything you want to call them. They call themselves Satanists.
Do you think this jury will buy that cheap horror film story? Is Geraldo going to rush in here now and interview people with hoods over their heads? Do you seriously expect this jury to believe that these two gentle people, 3 college degrees between them, residents of this community for a quarter of a century, have committed crimes that we wouldn't believe at a drive-in movie? Sandy! Sandy! Who put you up to this? Your father?
Nobody put me up to anything.
No. No. It didn't matter that the prosecution's case was falling apart. No, you expect us to believe that last weekend you just decided to talk about things that you haven't mentioned for the last 10 years.
killed my dog. They threatened my brother. They told me I enjoyed being raped.
You're lying.
Well, that's not what the lie detector said.
Your Honor, I move that last remark be stricken. Polygraph results are inadmissible.
What about the truth?
Police, anybody home?
Anything?
Not a thing. How about you?
No. She sure likes music. CDs, cassettes. Hey. How come she's got records if she doesn't have a turntable?
Are you a pedophile, Mrs. Richardson?
No, sir.
Did you or your husband or any member of your staff ever have any sort of sexual relations with any student at the Tiny Tot preschool?
No, sir.
Then we have a mystery here, don't we? Why are all these people saying all these incredible things about you? Will you tell us why you think this has happened?
Objection, Your Honor. Counselor is asking the witness to speculate.
I'll allow the witness to try if she chooses to put the charges against her into some kind of rational perspective.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, my husband and I don't deny touching those children. You know, when you're running a nursery school, you spend a lot of time wiping running noses or drying tears or putting on Band-Aids. Not once has a parent ever accused us of anything improper. Until Josh Schlossberg developed venereal disease. And then what did we do? Did we behave suspiciously? No. Did we run? No. We voluntarily took medical tests. And as you know, we all tested negative.
If we're gonna do it, let's do it.
Yesterday while you were waiting for the warrant, I was over here watching the place.
What are we waiting for?
Janitor. While it's going on, he's never more than 30 feet from that alarm bell.
I don't like the quiet. Why isn't anybody having a recess? How do we know they're not doing it now?
On April 15th, 1987, Miriam Schlossberg met with Dr. Martha Billington of the Children's Therapeutic Institute, Incorporated, a for-profit corporation. Mrs. Schlossberg told Dr. Billington that we had molested her son. To cover up the fact that Mrs. Schlossberg's lover had actually sodomized him. And then Dr. Billington convinced those children, in this atmosphere of hysteria, whipped up by the press in a small town, we had abused them. This is a witch hunt. Unfortunately, the witches only exist in Dr. Billington's mind.
What time is it? 12:30 exactly. Right on schedule.
Why bother to lock the gates?
You got it.
Hey, Val. You got a bathroom I can use?
It's nap time. We don't disturb the children during nap time.
I'm a police officer. Step back. Step back! Got him? Police!
You're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent.
Drop it.
Long-handed will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to
We're rehearsing a play.
Miss Larimer, you have testified in stomach-turning detail about several instances of child molestation in which you say my clients were involved. Now I ask you, did the district attorney promise you anything in return for this testimony?
Unconditional immunity for prosecution.
So, you would smear my clients, say anything at all, in order to get the deal Mr. Bernstein promised.
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Sustained.
I'm telling the truth.
A person like you. Sure you are.
Objection!
Granted, Mr. Pugliotti, please.
Well, since you're telling the truth, Miss Larimer, one last question. The prosecution's last witness testified about certain occult practices. Are my clients Satanists?
No, sir.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
I apologize to you for some of the grisly, unthinkable things that I have made you listen to in this courtroom. Little children should not be asked how it feels to be raped or sodomized. They could have been your children. Or yours. Could have been yours. They could have been mine. If just listening was painful for us, think how much more painful it was to live through the acts that these children described. Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest to you that these 37 children do belong to you. Those children had the courage to stand up and tell you the facts. Now you must have the courage to show these defendants that decent men and women will not tolerate the kind of behavior that they have shown. By your verdict, you can show the children that they're not alone.
us. Believe the children. Mr. Bernstein, the man who has just put Susan Larimer, the one self-confessed child abuser in this case, back on the street, has just asked you to believe the children. Believe the children. When you've heard them describe day trips in a van to visit a fat man on the moon. Believe the children who talked about sinister rabbits marching by torchlight through a Gothic cathedral. Believe the children who use such obviously adult words as penis, vagina, anus. Believe that these children have vivid imaginations. Yes. Believe they are the unwitting dupes of a paranoid therapist. Yes. Believe that they were abused by my clients. No way. The law demands that you deliver a not guilty verdict if you have even a reasonable doubt as to the suspect's guilt. Ladies and gentlemen, no reasonable person could avoid doubts about some of the things these children have told you. Accordingly, you have no choice. You must acquit my clients.
And finally, ladies and gentlemen, bear in mind, as you deliberate, that the defendants are guilty only if you find them so absolutely, conclusively, beyond a reasonable doubt. Take all the time you need. You may retire.
Thanks, Kyle. So?
I don't know, Raj.
Well, come on, what is it? I mean, something on their faces.
I just think it's going to be hard to find 12 people who have no reasonable doubts in a case like this. I don't know. I'll see you later.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe said they'd never go to jail.
Yeah. Well, even if they do go to jail, Bear, it won't be for enough years to pay for what they did.
Then why'd we do it?
Because we knew what they did was wrong.
And we had to say so. That's right.
You all set?
Yep.
Got your lunch?
Yep.
Got your pencils? Is that everything?
You got your baseball glove?
Baseball in kindergarten?
Yeah, you think you do arithmetic all the time?
I didn't bring it.
Oh, well, guess you have to use this one.
Dad, thanks!
Okay, partner. Okay, here's lunch.
Thanks, Mom.
Bye-bye, honey. Sandy, make sure he finds his classroom.
No, Mom, I was gonna put him in my locker.
You weren't sure they were going to jail. What'd you tell?
Dad says they may be out in 4 years. Even if I didn't testify. He said someday they'd come for me. He said they'd tell me the evil I had to do.
And did they come for you?
In a way, when they found you. See, the evil would have been to let them destroy our family. Keeping quiet would have meant they owned us.
Nobody owns us.
years, scientists have speculated